evening, everyone. It's Thursday, July 7th, 2016. Calling the meeting to order. Hope everyone had a good 4th. First matter on the agenda are approval of the minutes. And I see the May 5th minutes with a number of different edits and iterations. We have the original one with, do we have that? Here's what I have.
The original one?
And as I understand it, Mary, you had red and Paul, you had blue?
Something like that. I'm looking at reds and darker reds, but
I think the set on top that says MP Edits reflects all of the feedback, Diane, that you got from all of us.
Okay. All right. Well, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to accept the minutes of May 5th, 2016, with all of the edits provided by the board.
a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Questions from the public regarding items not on the agenda? Okay. Before you begin, Mr. Phillips, I will say that out of an abundance of concern, I contacted town council regarding your continued effort to speak. And because this is a public forum, I was advised that it would be better to allow you to speak, notwithstanding the earlier concerns that I expressed. However, I would ask you to refrain from getting into any kind of personnel stuff, because that's problematic. And you know, I will leave it at that. Please identify yourself for the record.
Chris Phillips, 66 Whitcomb Ave. Mr. Healy, first of all, I'd like to say that I just think that your behavior has just been outrageous, okay? You don't even know what I want to speak on.
You have the floor, Mr. Phillips. Is there something you want to say?
Yes,
please
there is,
say.
Mr. Healy.
Speak. And
I am speaking, Mr. Healy. Thank you for allowing me my rights. I came here 2 months ago to simply ask a question about the road construction in my neighborhood. I've tried contacting the DPW. I went online. My street, my neighborhood is supposed to be on the schedule for repaving this year. I have spoken to several of my neighbors. I said that I would come in and ask the simple question: when is it going to happen? What issues are there going to be for, as far as overnight parking, you know, the kids in the neighborhood, when the construction is going to start, and what, if any, issues that there will be that the neighbors would need to know about. It's not on the website. I've made several calls to the DPW. I have not been able to get an answer from them or a return phone call. I simply came here to ask that question, and you, for several meetings, have continued to try to intimidate or embarrass me. That's falling on deaf ears, Mr. Healy. I will tell you this: I will take my complaints to the Bar Council and to the State Attorney General's office. I put my question in writing to give to you, and that's all I wanted to talk about.
Does it have the road on there?
Well, my address is
Okay.
It's the Whitcomb Ave, Howland Ave, West
Whitcomb Ave.
States neighborhood.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Healy, that's all I wanted.
anything else?
Thank you.
Mr. Mayo, will you address the gentleman's inquiry? Thank you.
I believe that it's probably best. I know that there was a question about the National Grid schedule, that when Dennis Regan came in several weeks ago, that there was a question of National Grid and timing. What I might suggest is, Tom, if you can get the latest and greatest information on this, and perhaps in addition to responding to this letter, I also know that there have been a couple of neighbors who have been in frequent contact with us about this as well.
Okay.
And Mr. Blukey comes to mind
Okay.
as someone who's been very invested, so perhaps we could also reach out as well so that the word can get out to the, I know there are many interested people on this.
Can do.
Can you let us know, Tom, when you get that info?
I will.
Great, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Hersey.
John Hersey, 65 Hersey Street. You violated the man's civil rights. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak before we get on to regular business? No? All right, so we'll move on. That was fun. Okay. We've got some votes. Let's do some votes. I know that some of you were anticipating that we were going through the appointment list, but we do have a series of interviews next Monday. So practically, I polled my colleagues to see if it makes sense just to defer the majority of the appointments until the next meeting, so that by that point, we'll have interviewed everybody that's interested in serving. Okay, so we have a consensus that we'll hold off on the majority of the appointments. I would like to make an appointment, however, to the Historical Commission, and I'd entertain a motion that we appoint James Conroy to the Hingham Historical Commission.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Additionally, it's a little unusual, but Mr. Curley is the chair of the Historical Commission, and there's some unfinished business that I'd like him to be able to accomplish. So what I would propose is that we appoint him for a brief period of time, not to exceed 3 months, for the purposes of completing the business of the Hingham Historical Commission. And if any time within that 3-month period he does so, he can step off.
Sure.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's then go to the votes on the licenses, if we could. Got a vote list here.
Okay, go by the front.
Yeah,
There's a lengthy vote list. On the end of the last page.
thank you.
And that's the last page.
All right, why don't we just take turns and Paul, if you lead.
Sure. Okay, so I'll move to approve the issuance of a special one-day wine and malt beverage license to Father Bill's and MainSpring, care of Kristyn, Lahiff, for Food Fest 2016 to be held at the launch at Hingham Harbor on Tuesday, July 26, 2016, from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to approve the issuance of a special one-day all-alcoholic beverages license to the Hingham Beer Works, care of Matt Sneider, for Food Fest 2016 to be held at the launch at Hingham Harbor on Tuesday, July 26th, 2016, from 5 until 10 p.m.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Move to approve the issuance of a special one-day wine and malt beverage license to Denise Arrondo, care of the McCourt Foundation, for the Tour de South Shore fundraiser at Wampatuck State Park on Saturday, October 1st, 2016, from 7 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We'll skip the next one for the time being and just go to the permit fees.
I'll make a motion to waive the permit fees to complete the conversion of 13 town buildings from the Hingham Fire Alarm Monitoring System to a central station monitoring system.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Let me keep going.
Please.
Move to approve the request of the Hingham Downtown Association to use the sidewalks for the annual Summer Sidewalk Sales on July 28, 29, and 30, 2016, from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve the request of the Hingham Downtown Association for the use of Main Street between Elm and South Street for Summerfest to be held on July 25th, 2016, from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Move to authorize Lonnie Fournier, Senior Planner, Conservation/GIS, to act as municipal project manager in connection with the submittal by the Conservation Commission of the local acquisitions for natural diversity grant application as authorized by the 2016 town meeting, and further authorize the chairman of the Board of Selectmen to execute such documents necessary in connection therewith.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And, I'll make a motion to approve the issuance of a special one-day wine and malt beverages license to Bethany Barzowskas, care of the CM Group, for the employee recognition event at 25 Recreation Park Drive on Tuesday, July 19th, 2016, from, is that 3 p.m. to 5 p.m.?
I closed my
It says 3 a.m., but I'm
Yes.
guessing 3
Yes.
p.m.
I'll
Yes.
second 3 p.m.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, this next one I have to absent myself on only because I've recused myself on the Barnes Wharf lease issue, so I just move aside so you can
Thank you.
chit
Sure.
chat.
So, Mary, on this one, I know we haven't obviously been able to discuss it, but I know Tom and I talked, it was coming up, so we're probably going to need to move it out another month or so.
Yep, so I think maybe we'll give the public a little bit of an update on this so essentially what's happened is that I think in the last 30 days is a couple of things. First of all, Lincoln Maritime provided us with some additional edits to a proposed lease document. And our real estate counsel has taken that information, incorporated into the lease. In addition, council has reviewed the lease for the town and has come up with a series of 7 or 8 kind of questions or sort of policy matters that she's essentially looking for feedback from Selectman Gannon and I to sort of do that, to incorporate that into the lease. And I think you're meeting with council tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Yes. I'm meeting with council at 10. And I've asked that after tomorrow, that perhaps what we would do for efficiency and for using council's time and taxpayer dollars wisely, that after this, we should be able to go into executive session on matters with respect to the lease with council. And that way you and I can talk together and council can be there. I think this first initial piece probably makes sense to do separately, but I think going forward, it'll be quicker and more cost effective. So what will happen after tomorrow is that council will get feedback from both Selectman Gannon and myself, which will then inform the town revising the lease. And then I think the idea would be you and I would take a look at it in executive session. If it looks satisfactory, to then engage with the Hingham Maritime Center. And the negotiations themselves would be largely between council, the assistant town administrator, and Hingham Maritime, with, Selectman Gannon and I kind of staying on top of it, but we're not necessarily in all the detailed negotiations. So I think that's the go-forward plan. I think my sense from council and from the assistant town administrator is that the issues that they're looking for feedback from us on are not necessarily insurmountable issues. It's more just a direction to take.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Tom, would that be?
Yeah, we need some policy direction.
Yep. And I know that I actually spoke to the head of Hingham Maritime Center 2 days ago and kind of conveyed this as well. So they are eager to engage when we're ready for that.
Right, and that's good, and thank you. I think also one of the hopes we have is once we get past this point, we'll actually, there'll be light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, where there's a timeline we can probably fit into, depending on negotiations, obviously, but this thing is starting to move, and thank you,
Yeah.
for your work on this.
And I think there are two things that I'd just like to reiterate to the public while we have this on the agenda. The first one is that one of the things that's been important to both of us is that before a lease gets signed, that there be, we've been calling it a 2-week window for the public to take a look at it. I think Paul and I both understand that this is a 30-year lease, and there are a lot of interested parties. So, we want to make sure that continues to, that we follow that. I think the other piece that will be helpful is that over the next several weeks, the Harbor Development Committee is going to be coming in to talk to us about the infamous wharf study, and how that fits into the picture as well. And I believe they're also going to go to advisory. So we're trying to work this on a couple of different paths, and I think we've got some momentum, and this is a good time of year to do this before we get into budget season and warrant season.
Right, and I agree with you. I think we need people to be able to weigh in at the appropriate time, so obviously we'll adjust timelines to make sure everybody has a chance.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I think we're both in agreement about an extension. I'm happy for whatever timetable makes sense. If we want to keep it shorter to kind of hold us accountable. I also know that in the summertime we're not meeting as much. I saw a preliminary summer schedule today, so I just want to make sure that we're taking that into account as well.
Yeah, I understand, and I'm trying to remember the dates, but I would like it somewhere in the 30 range, not to put undue pressure on us, but just so the people at home know that we're actually working on it and diligently as we are. And, you know, if we have to extend it, we will, but, you know, I think we're making progress, so that's great.
How about if, so today's the 7th.
4th and the 18th in August.
We were looking at the 4th and the 18th, so if we did August 7th.
You have to renew on the 4th.
That's a Monday. No, August 8th is a Monday. Does that sound right?
Well, the 4th is the Thursday.
Thursday.
So, right.
So we would do it the 5th, or would we?
The 5th.
Doesn't matter, any day after
So then
the 4th.
we would take it up on
On the 4th?
take it up on that day.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The 5th? Yep. So, you want me to make a motion then?
Sure.
Make a motion to extend the date for finalizing the lease on Barnes Wharf until August 5th, 2016.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm back.
Yes.
All right. Well, sometimes they're long, sometimes they're not. It's one of the shorter ones. Mr. Mayor, is there anything you'd like to add before we?
Nothing, thank you.
What about Lehner? We doing anything with that?
Thank you. With respect to the South Pleasant Street parcel, are we good on that, or?
South Pleasant
Do you
Street.
want a motion or to vote?
I'm not following you. The Lehner?
Yeah.
You did that.
Okay, you said the Linear?
Yep. Yep.
Linear, okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Sorry, yep, okay.
Okay, Mary.
You know, I would just say that in the last week or so, with all of the different events around the 4th of July, the road race, the parade, the fireworks, the dedication of the Whitney Wharf Bridge, it's kind of the best of Hingham on display. Everybody who works for the town who was so involved in things. I was standing on a street about 15 minutes after the parade had finished, and it looked like there hadn't even been a parade. I just would say thank you to all the people who participated in so many different ways. It was Hingham at its best, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful week.
Sure, I agree. And again, I want to echo that. I want to thank the parade committee and everybody that participated anyway, the police chief, thank you, you know, fire, and I will tell you that I look forward to it every year. The road race is early at 7 a.m., but it's kind of like a reunion of sorts and a gathering of friends, and occasionally you meet some new people at the race, and it's just what a great day we had for it this year. It was fantastic. And the parade, you know, every year is a good year. This year I had so many people who were basically bubbling over with enthusiasm and thanks and praise for what a great parade it was. And it's always a good group of bands and veterans and sports and even some elected officials. But more importantly, the core of the town are there, and everybody participates in the crowds. I think we were talking as we were walking, the crowds were fantastic, and everybody was enjoying themselves. And as I said, Garrett Bradley which may be his last parade as a state representative, certainly not his last as a citizen of the town. It was a privilege and a pleasure to be able to walk with him and share that moment with him. So I wish him luck.
I want to thank the volunteers at the swap pile up at the dump, or the transfer station, as some people call it. You know, I go in there like a lot of people do. Some people drop off large pieces of furniture, and I just ask you to think about that a little bit, because there's only so much room at the swap pile. And, you know, the volunteers there are there to kind of process things in, not to serve as, you know, rubbish policemen. So I'd just ask you to think about that a little bit. I'd like to extend my appreciation and thanks and recognition to the Hingham Police Department and the Hingham Fire Department for a job well done this weekend. There was a lot of pressure by virtue of just the sheer size of the crowds. Glenn, I think you did a great job on that, to your men and women in uniform. Same with your brother and his forces too. You know, this is not easy stuff, and things flowed very smoothly. I didn't get any calls, so, you know, that was a good thing right out of the gate. I'd like to join with my colleague in wishing Representative Garrett Bradley all the best. He's served our town extraordinarily well. July 4th is his birthday, so it's always been a pleasure to walk with him, or in earlier years wave to him as he went by with the other elected officials. So thank you, everyone, for having a good 4th with us. We look forward to doing that again next year. And thanks to the July 4th committee too. That was an excellent parade, and I've seen a few of them. So, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Night.